Thank you. I'm glad to be here today. We're looking first at Google. One of the things that's important about Google is that Google Books is a corporate part of Google. They have a very early corporate goal for one of the things that they established when they first organized Google was to digitize every book ever published in the world. Now that may seem like a very difficult goal to achieve, but they're a long way down the road. They don't publish the number of books that they have digitized very frequently, but the last one came out actually almost a year ago, and it was over 15 million books. The guess on that is that well over 6 million of those are in the public domain with complete digitized copies of the books online. When you go to Google, one of the things you notice is at the top of the screen, if you look towards the top, it'll say web, images, videos. The last one over there is more, and that's a pull-down menu. If you haven't looked at that, there's a lot more Google applications underneath the More menu. The second one down is Google Books, and we'll take a look at Google Books. There's a couple of things about Google Books that you ought to know. First of all, Google is in the business of selling eBooks, and you can buy an ebook for your iPad or your any of your book readers, and they have over 3 million books online at Google Books. So you go to Google and sign up for a Gmail account or a Google account. Using that Google account, you can go in and purchase ebooks. But that's not the point here today. The point is that there are millions of books online, and by default what happens is that many of those books end up being about genealogy or directly related to genealogy. First of all, when you have your search screen, it's the usual very sparse-looking Google search screen. So we're going to put in a book here, for example, a surname. Let's look for my surname and see what kind of books we have about Tanner. And if we go down, we'll see that there's long lists of books, and it comes up with 8 million books. That's way too many, so we're going to try to qualify that, and let's just call it genealogy and add the word genealogy. I've still got 33,000 books, but you know what? That's how many books there are in here that have Tanner and the word genealogy, and you can imagine what kind of resources we have. Now, there are 3 kinds of digitized books on Google. The first is when it says a free Google ebook, and it has the link here to read. That means that the entire book is on Google, has been digitized, the entire book. This one, for example, William Tanner of North Kingston, he actually happens to be my great-great-great-great, going back 7 generations, grandfather. Actually more than 7. I think he's about 11 generation back grandfather. He was the immigrant from England back in the 1600s. And interestingly enough, when I click on the read button for the book, I get the entire text of the book. And I can read the book here online. You have a scroll bar where you can read each of the pages. So if you look on your screen, you'll see each of the scrollable pages of the book. And you can search that book, that text, for any word that you want. So if I wanted to look for William, for example, there's going to be hundreds of responses to that. But it will show the page that search term appears on with a page number, and also outlines the search in highlights it in a color. In this one, it's yellow. And if you click on that, it will go to that page and give you that entire page. Now, you can copy this text. You can add it to your library, which means you can have it in your eBooks library. Now, the advantage of the eBook library is that you can subscribe to the eBook library with any of your handheld devices. So I use my iPhone and have my Google Books app on my iPhone, and I can read any of these books online with right off of my iPhone. You can do the same thing with a tablet computer, with a Kindle reader, or with a iPad or any of the other devices, and you will have access to all of this information. Now, the question is there anything that's really pertinent or valuable genealogical information? Are we looking for things? I can assure you that there are books here that you probably are not aware of surname books about family search names. What I usually suggest is that everyone look through the names in their pedigree, any of their ancestral names, and do a Google search. First, do a regular Google search on the name to find out if there's anything on the internet. But secondarily, to go into Google Books and do a search on the surnames and on the names to see whether or not there happens to be a digitized copy of a surname book online. So these are the kinds of things that you can find online. One of the most interesting, and I'm going to do another search up here in Google Books, what I found that's really interesting online here is that Google has digitized millions, I would assume, pages of old magazines and journals. And among those are many of the old genealogical journals and magazines. This, for example, is Volume 1 of the Utah Genealogical and Historical Society journal began back in 1910. And it has the complete text of that journal with any of the included genealogy that was included back in at that time by those contributors to the journal. Not just the Utah Genealogical Society, but the New England Historical and Genealogical Society, the United States Genealogical Society, all of these different societies that have old journals and histories and things. They're very likely that they'll be online here on Google Books, showing the complete text of those old journals. This is it's just a almost endless resource. Another example of a book. My great-grandfather settled in northern Arizona back in the 1800s, and you can find many different books on that particular topic, including one by my uncle, George Tanner, who is online here. Now, I started to explain a little bit about the view of the books. The first one I showed you was the books that were totally e-book, totally digitized online. Obviously, there's some difficulty with copyright and with authors' rights to these books. And so not all of the books that Google has digitized are available online in complete versions. There are three different types of books that come up online. The first one is a preview, and a preview of a book is portions of the book that have been selected by the author to show what kind of information you may find in the book. The hope there is that you'll purchase the book, not that you'll have the book to read online, but that you'll find that book in one of the bookstores, online bookstores, and be able to read it online. The other type of view is called a snippet view. Let's see if I can find it. There's a snippet view here, and in a snippet view, what will happen is that Google shows you those portions of the book that match your search. So you can search the book, but you don't get the complete text online, and it's not downloadable or usable from that standpoint. But you can still find out if the information is there. One of the things that that Google Books does is over here on the side of the left-hand side of your screen, you'll see that there are no eBooks available for this book, but there may be other books available from Amazon, from Barnes & Noble, Books A Million. These are where these books were found, where this book was found as part of those. So you could go online and see if you could purchase a copy of the book from Amazon. But what I would focus on is the free part of this, and the free part of this is to find the book in a library. Now, what happens when you click on this link to find a book in the library is that it will take you to WorldCat, and that's where we want to go in just a minute. But let me kind of end up here with some more information about Google Books, because I think that this is an extremely valuable resource. What you need to remember is not just that trying to think of the name of a book, but if you are searching for information on an individual, you'll want to put that individual's name in as a search term. So if I put in my great-grandfather's name, then and do a Google search, you'll see that there are lots of books with that name. I want to limit that just to the specific topic terms of the name rather than all of those terms. So I will put down, quotation marks around my entry, and that tells Google in an advanced search that I want this exact term, Henry Martin Tanner, my great-grandfather. And there are 118 books listed online here that have references to my great-grandfather. So you can see that this is quite a valuable resource depending on your family. Obviously, not everyone shows up in a book, so it may not be productive. But on most cases, what you're going to do is find at least a surname book that may connect to one of your lines. Is a very valuable resource. Now let's go back to the library issue. Let's say that I want to find about my pioneer ancestors, and so I look for a book in about early pioneers, and I find a book like this one, the McClintock book, and this one is completely here online, so I wouldn't have to go further. But let's suppose that I wanted to find the a library copy of this book. I preferred reading the actual book, so I can click on title here, get the entire topic here. I do have the option of adding this to my library and using this this book, but we're going to go look for where this book might be found in a library. And what we're going to try to do is see if the book is available someplace around me. I want to know if it's in one of the libraries close to me. Well, we have a marvelous tool here. We're going to move now out of Google into a completely different website, and this is called WorldCat. Some of you may be familiar with WorldCat, some may not. It's worldcat.org. That's just how it looks, WORLDCAT.org. Now, WorldCat is a consolidated library, and you'll note there right on their startup page it says there are 1.5 billion items, that's with a B, billion items available throughout through the library. There are somewhere around 20,000 libraries, consolidated catalogs here. These are primarily university libraries, public libraries, all sorts of organizational libraries around the world. Unfortunately, the first thought that comes to mind is the Family History Library and WorldCat, and the answer is no, because it's a private library, and there are few private libraries in the WorldCat. But any public or university library what has happened is that they have the entire library